The Tao of Self-Confidence, Episode 28. Welcome to the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of courageous women finding their inner journey to self-confidence 5 days a week. Want to learn how you can change your inner beliefs and attitudes? Download a free copy of the ebook by visiting thetaoofselfconfidence.com. Well, hello, friend. Welcome to the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of amazing women who have discovered their inner journey to self-confidence. I'm your host today, Sheena Yap-Chan, and today's guest, I have a special lady here today. She is a mommy fashion blogger who is based in Las Vegas, and, she has an awesome story that she's going to share with us today. I'm not going to, keep you in the dark. So her name is Daisy Te. She's from Las Vegas, and Daisy, welcome to the podcast. I'm really grateful that you took the time to do this, and maybe you can fill in a little bit more about yourself?
Oh, yeah, sure. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate that. So a little bit about me. I am 34 years old. I'm a mom of 4. They range in age from ages 6 to 16 here in Las Vegas. I live in the suburbs of Las Vegas. And my full-time position is a corporate recruiter for a global gaming technology company. That's like a tongue twister right there. And my side hustle / full-time entity, which because of the amount of work I have to do with it, is also as a blogger and digital influencer for theitmom.com. My background starts way back then when I actually started off as a teen mom. And, I always had a love for fashion and beauty. I, didn't even get to finish college because I was raising children at such a young age. But then once I got into my late 20s, I knew that in order for me to get my foot the door towards a career, I just wanted to be able to set myself apart from the others and be unique to differentiate myself. And that's where I really learned the discovery of the importance of self-confidence. So just a little quick background of my career, my corporate career. I started off a little over 5 years ago as a recruiting coordinator, scheduling interviews for the team. And then within a matter of 6 months, I became a corporate recruiter and have moved my way up to now a senior corporate recruiter. And I think a lot of that definitely plays in part with the self-confidence that, you have and you exude. And what my goal was to really show them that even though I didn't have a college degree, I was intelligent enough and competent enough and confident enough to take on the job. I proved myself and have stuck around with it. And it goes the same with the whole blogging industry. When I first got in, there were a lot of, millions and millions of bloggers trying to get, their foot in the door and really trying to make some type of income out of it. And it was around a time where, a lot of us were going through a little bit of that recession here in the United States. And so when I moved to the Las Vegas area, I found that it was really hard to find a job, let alone if you didn't have a college degree. And we had very little money, pretty much living in poverty. So I had to be very unique with what I was working with as far as the means of income, used my confidence along with, finding budget vintage deals on suits at Goodwill. And that's how my blog became, a little over 5 years ago. It didn't actually launch till 4 years ago, but it's pretty interesting, the journey and the discovery of that self-confidence.
That is awesome. And, to everyone out there who ever thought of blogging or ever wanted to blog, because, I also blog as well, and I get this a lot, they want to start a blog, but they're like, I have nothing to write about. I don't know if anybody will listen to me. You know what? You have to start somewhere, right?
Absolutely.
Nobody looked at my blogs when I first started, but I just kept building it, right? It's something that you have forever on the internet. So to all the women who's listening to this, whoever wanted to start blogging, you just got to go out there and just do it, right? Sometimes it's not whoever's the most talented. It's whoever takes the most action, right? And action will always trump everything. Yeah, sometimes you'll make mistakes for sure, because till this day I still make grammar mistakes and spelling mistakes, but it never stops me from doing the things that I love, right? Even doing this podcast, like I fumble, I stutter, but I still do it because I know I have a big message, and it's to help you women, get over anything that you're struggling with, right? Get over those humps, those hurdles, those self-sabotaging beliefs, so that you can go out there and start living life out loud. So
that's exactly right.
Thanks so much. And what's your cultural background?
I am Filipina, so I was born in the Philippines. I came to the United States around the age of 5.
That's awesome. I'm from the Philippines too. I was
okay.
born in Cebu City.
Oh, nice. Okay. I was born in Olongapo City. So I'm not sure. I know it was Tagalog that they spoke as a language, but I haven't spoken it since I was like 6 or 7. I think I'm trying to learn it again by watching TFC. My husband is fluent in it, which is interesting because he's part Chinese and Filipino. So of all people, he knows it way more than I do and is way more fluent than I am. But I have actually started picking it back up when I started watching TFC, which is the Filipino channel. But I can't understand it fluently. I just can't speak it. It just sounds really bad.
That's okay. I can't even speak Tagalog. I speak another dialect, but even then I still butcher that. So it's all good. So what would be your favorite self-confidence quote?
Well, for me, just because of my own life experiences and my own struggles, I always use the quote that I created myself, and it's called "Your struggles become your successes." And that really was the faith and the hope I had I'm a Christian, so the Christianity, my faith, my hope in Jesus, and then also just knowing that whatever I was going through, I was going to get out of. That was really my mantra. And you have to have that type of confidence to be able to believe it, and becomes your testimony or your life story. So I truly believe your struggles do become your successes.
I believe that as well. I think sometimes God or the universe or whoever you believe in gives us these struggles as a test to see if we can come out of it and become a stronger person. So
absolutely.
Some people might think of it as, something that's unlucky. But to me, I think we're fortunate enough to go through something that we can get out of and know in our hearts that we're a lot stronger than we think. So I really appreciate that quote you shared. And in your own words, what would be your definition of self-confidence?
It's knowing who you are and your values and that you're worth it. I think that's a big thing. I know L'Oreal has that slogan that they are just so known for, and, because I'm worth it is what they say. And it's true. I mean, for you to feel it on the inside, you have to really feel and understand and know your self-worth. And then that will come out, and show through how you act, how you speak, and how you are with people overall.
I love that. And it's true. A lot of women out there, they feel like they're not worthy. And I'm guilty of that. Sometimes I'm like, why would anyone want to listen to me? But, you have to start changing the things you say to yourself. I've started saying to myself, I'm worthy of the things that I want in my life, right? I'm worthy for the income that I want to make. I'm worthy that people want to connect with me, on different projects, right? Just those 3 little words are so important to say to yourself. So if anyone's listening to this, when you feel like you're down, just start saying those 3 little words. I am worthy, because you're worthy of a better life. So thank you for that, Daisy.
Yeah, sure.
So what was your life like before your discovery of self-confidence?
Oh, wow. I mean, I was really at the bottom. I was at the rock bottom, and it was a lot of factors. When things are coming at you and they're all bad, or they're all, negative, or they're all trials or circumstances, challenges, whatever you want to call them. They're all things that are hurting us at the time. You feel like you just feel so sorry for yourself, and you become very negative, and it really affects your emotion and your mindset. That was really that breaking point for me, where I knew that, there were things that needed to change, but I wasn't doing them. Instead, I was, digging that hole of negativity and continuing to just, keep feeling sorry for myself. And it put me in a place where we were living in poverty. We were truly financially living in poverty. We were going through all kinds of issues within the family. It just felt like everything was really just falling apart. It was probably that rock bottom where I did realize that a lot of things needed to change for me to get out of it.
Wow. So what was that aha moment you had, or that turning point where you realized, I can change my circumstances? Whatever is happening now doesn't have to happen in the future. Like, what was that aha moment that you had in your life?
Oh gosh, that's definitely when I was, of course, hitting that rock bottom. When there was nothing else I could I felt like I was just already down. There was nothing more you could do to hurt me. That's when I realized I had to change. And I did. I realized that I will never get out of where I am by just staying right where I am. So I had to change. And it was that immediate, literally when your brain switches to that change mode, it's amazing what action you can take. And I just knew, I have to change. If I don't do this, I don't want to change bad enough if I'm just sitting around still doing the same thing. So you have to have that fire and that desire and that motivation to just change. And then that switch will flip in your brain and you will change. And I started, getting up and researching and trying to figure out ways to get myself out of where I was. And I started with writing. I love to write. That's one of my passions I've always had since I was a little girl. And I remember, I knew one of the things, for me, it was was always about trying to have solutions to the issues I was having. I always did it with other people, but I never really thought to do it for myself. And so I said to myself, so what are those things that I need to change? What is the solution to this? Okay, well, one, I'm very negative. So I started taking my journal and I would say, okay, here are 3 things that I am grateful for today. And, it takes a while to finally get into the groove of it. But once I started realizing that, wow, I have so much to look forward to. And, my situation isn't as bad as it really is. And when you're looking at the bigger picture, it's not as bad in the scheme of things that it really is. And so I was just really grateful once I started writing down what I was grateful for. And then from there, I said to myself, well, I feel really good about my life and that things, will turn around and that there's a lot of hope and potential because, you can't change unless you see that there is hope. So I had to have a lot of that hope and faith too. And so I started to, write down things about myself that I wanted to maybe improve self-image wise. I kept telling myself, okay, I want to get back into shape. I want to lose some weight. I want to eat right. I want to, be active. I want to have energy. I want to really improve my self-image from a professional level and be polished. And I envisioned what I wanted to look like. And I even remember at that time, I created a vision board. I took whatever piece of board of a cardboard box I cut out, and I, tried to find photos of images that I could look at where I knew I would, someday get there. And I pasted it and I had it in front of me all the time, and I would never stop looking at it. And I will say that it works. Vision boards work because I did accomplish everything that was on that vision board, which is interesting. It took a few years, but I did. But things like that you can really visually see, and that gives you that fire. That's what helped me to get out of where I was.
That is amazing. Thank you so much. And vision boards do work because, when you see something that you want every single day, your mind attracts to it, right? And it's going to find ways, or it's going to show you the way to get there. So, I believe in vision boards too. I mean, last year I said I wanted to go to Hawaii for winter, right? And, I didn't create a vision board, but everything I saw had something to do with Hawaii, right? My computer screen had the beach, my phone had the beach, and, everything just had something to do with the beach in Hawaii. And, then all these things started popping up. Like I found out I had a cousin that lived there, and then I had an uncle who had like a free, hotel that time. So I wanted to go and check it out. But, when you keep on thinking of the things that you want and start just focusing on them, they really do start to appear. And I'm not saying they're going to appear overnight, like you said, right?
Right.
But they will appear. There's no time limit. It might take a year, it might take 6 months, it might take 12 years, right?
It may be even the next day. It's all about timing.
Yeah, like you'll never know. But what I do know is it can happen, right?
Yeah.
So I really love that you said that you have a vision board, because I think some people, they get a little uncomfortable doing it, thinking, how is this really going to work if I just look at a bunch of pictures? But, just you sharing that story, maybe they can get a little bit of inspiration and start their own vision board. So,
yeah.
So Daisy, definitely. What is your life like right now? I mean, after that discovery?
Oh, it's doing really well. I mean, I truly feel very, very blessed and privileged to be able to have the life I have now. And, I do always look back to our humble beginnings, and I think back to where we were, and that creates that gratefulness, that buildup of gratefulness. And I will say, we aren't in poverty anymore. We do very well financially. And I remember what's interesting story here, but I remember that time when we were really having a hard time, and I was so down in the dumps and just felt like, gosh, I don't know how we're going to ever be where we're at, when we live like this. I would never be able to picture myself living where I'm at right now in this home. But, we used to just drive around in this neighborhood. I live in a neighborhood called Seven Hills. It's a suburb. It's in Henderson. It's a suburb of Las Vegas. But at the time, we pretty much didn't even have a place to live anymore. We had nothing. And we had to end up staying with family. I remember my husband and I had gotten into an argument, and we were driving around in this community because I knew that this was a place that I know one day I would want to live in. And at that time, it seemed so unrealistic. These were, 3,500 square foot homes. They were $500,000, and we could barely pay, a $700, $800 a month apartment rent. And now we are living in the neighborhood we were driving in. And we are in a 3,500 square foot home. So I truly believe that, to get to where we are now, those things had to happen. And that was so that we would continue to be humble and also be grateful. But everything's going really well. My career is doing well. The blog is really taking off. My husband, he's an entrepreneur and, he has his own local photo booth and photography business here in Las Vegas. That's doing really well. We're able to afford equipment, professional equipment for all of our, media needs. It's just amazing what a little seedling of hope can grow into. And of course, that starts with the self-confidence too. You can't change without that. It's doing very well. Very, very blessed.
That's amazing how you've done so much, especially where you were coming from, being a teenage mom. I'm pretty sure that was a challenge of its own. I always admire teenage moms who just go out there and do whatever it takes to just create the life that they want, because, having a child at that age is probably not the easiest thing, first of all.
No,
and then to even
definitely
figure out what you want to do in life. To just, even me thinking about it as a teenager, it's like, sometimes I'm like, I don't know how these moms do it, but I really appreciate the fact that, you had that willpower and that determination to get it done. So, thank you so much for sharing your story on that. To the woman who's listening to your story, right? Maybe they're in the same struggle that you were in back then, and they want to figure out, how can they get their life turned around? What would be that one tip you would give to that woman on her journey to self-confidence?
I really think that the first thing that you really want to do is try to love yourself first. I say this, and it sounds so cliche, but it's true. You have to start loving yourself first, because if you can't love yourself, you can't love others, and you won't have that hope. You won't have that faith in anyone or anything or any God, right? And so I truly believe that if you can start to love yourself first, then you'll be able to start changing your way of thinking, your way of feeling, your way of doing. The gratefulness too plays a big part, because you have to really be grateful, and knowing that you have that opportunity to change and that your life isn't as bad as it seems, can really turn things around. So that's probably my two biggest tips. And then of course, as a fashion blogger, for me, my biggest thing is wanting to look good, right? So self-image for me is a big part of when I just want to feel like, awesome. Or every time I look in the mirror, I'm like, okay, let's fix ourselves up. I've seen myself with makeup, without makeup, and I can tell you, I feel 100 times better when I put some makeup on. So if all else, maybe throwing on a little bit of makeup and just changing your clothes into something that you're going to go out in, even if that means just, hanging out for an hour in the house, whatever, just do it. Do something that makes you feel good so that you can love yourself first.
I like that, and I believe the clothes you wear too can make you feel good. So I agree with you on that. And for the listeners out here, if they want to check out your blog, get more fashion tips and stuff that you do, where could we check that out?
So my blog is called theitmom.com, theitmom.com, and all of my social media accounts are also The It Mom, so you can find me on any of those as well as online.
Awesome. So I can't wait to check that out. I'm sure the listeners are excited to see what your blog is about and all the tips that they can get. So to the listeners out there, if you want to check out the It Mom blog, theitmom.com, please head over to thetaoofselfconfidence.com and search for Daisy's name. Her show notes will pop up along with everything else we talked about. And I just want to thank Daisy for sharing her journey and her story with us. So Daisy, thank you so much. Your story is just amazing. I just love the fact, you went from like rock bottom and now you're living the dream life that you've always wanted.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And it always humbles me to have the opportunity to do things like this. Like I said, I'm a true advocate for self-confidence and empowering women, and even transforming in any way, whether it's their lives, their appearance, anything. It's my forte, my calling, I guess.
Awesome. I say the more the merrier, right?
Yep, that's right.
So listeners, be on the lookout for another new episode of The Tao of Self-Confidence, and we'll catch you later. Bye for now.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of The Tao of Self-Confidence. Visit thetaoofselfconfidence.com for links to everything we chatted about today, as well as killer resources, gifts, and so much more. Subscribe to The Tao of Self-Confidence on iTunes or Stitcher to hear more stories of amazing women finding their inner journey to self-confidence.